Hello, my dear. If you and I are meeting for the first time, my name is Amy Jones. I am a progress coach and strategist, and I help people figure out what it is they really want and then how to actually go get it. And I was inspired by today's chat, which is all about how loneliness can stop progress because of some conversations that I was having recently with fellow mappers, clients who are being brave and taking steps to go outside of their comfort zone, to go after what it is they really want, and who were sharing about a loneliness that they were feeling. And I certainly could appreciate what they were saying and relate to what they were saying because this is an experience that I've had many, many times. And it is part of the experience of being a human person in that we have this remarkable um, ability to feel so alone, even when we're surrounded by so many people, even when we're surrounded by those who love us, or we're part of a team, or it just doesn't seem to matter the sort of practical logic of it, where we kind of resist it and go, God, why am I lonely? I shouldn't be lonely. We try and rationalize why we're feeling lonely and not being happy about it. Like, that's not okay. And it can take a lot of energy and be really uncomfortable and also a really effective way for your clever brain to slow you down or shut you down. And if you have not heard me use the phrase clever brain, it is what I give name to the part of our brain that is very primitive, that has one purpose, and it is designed to protect you from what is new, what is uncertain, even if those things are really good for you, even if you intellectually know on some level, yes, this is a positive thing, it can still feel stressful and scary and suspect. And that is what that aspect of your brain that generates those thoughts and beliefs, that's its whole goal. So if it can convince you that you are alone and have you feeling lonely, then it's doing its job. It is being very effective because the net result is that you are not moving forward either at all or at a much slower pace. And again, your clever brain considers that a huge win, that it is slowing you down or shutting you down. So often, clever brain will create whole stories and narratives about what it means when we feel lonely, what it means about us, the reflection of our character, of our worthiness or lack of value. I mean, it can really get into some very sophisticated logics about what it means about us not being good enough or not being capable, not being ready. And when we start to really question ourselves in that way, and shame starts to get in the mix as well, then we can really start feeling lonely and we can start retreating into ourselves and we can forget that we are not alone in this, that we are not having a unique or particularly unusual experience, even though it seems so real and it's so visceral. And, as Katie, one of in our community had said earlier today, she's like, I know that I'm not alone, but I feel really alone because I feel like it's all on me to do what there is to do. And she's in a particular period where she and her family are moving to a different state. There's changing jobs. Her husband has a new job. She just quit her job. A lot of ties to the community. And if you are like me or like Katie and someone who is used to being really involved and a very active member on a team or in a community, somebody who others really rely on, you step up, you volunteer, you're a natural leader, it can be really easy to feel very alone in that responsibility because Clever Brain will try to convince you that you don't have other options, that it is all on you, that you can't ask for help, that it's not okay to ask for help, that if you do ask for help, it's somehow a reflection of your deficiency, of your weakness. This is something that we've been talking about in the Make Progress No Matter What course. We just had week 4 all about weaknesses. And, Clever Brain likes to convince us that weaknesses are something that are bad, that again is evidence of our failure or our unworthiness. And when we believe that it's not okay to have a weakness, that there's something wrong with us because we have a weakness, that further intensifies the lonely feeling. And then we feel more isolated. The shame, keeps coming in waves. And pretty soon we just feel very much on our own, that there's something wrong with that we did something wrong, or that we are wrong. And the net result is that we don't move forward. We're not taking action from love. We're not reaching out to other people. And, one of the things that we talk about in the course is that weakness can actually be a really lovely opportunity for us to receive support, for us to reach out to other people, for us to start to test some of these stories and assumptions and various logics that Clever Brain has created for us to see what is actually true. And it can be a very convincing act that Clever Brain puts on that has this feel like, no, we really are alone. No, we can't ask. No, that's too embarrassing. No, they're going to be disappointed. They'll be annoyed. They'll doubt me. They'll think I don't have it together. That, there's all these kinds of fears that get stoked and that have us perpetuate that isolation and not talking to people and not reaching out and not testing these Clever Brain declarations against the light of consciousness or the light of day. Okay? So when you start to feel the loneliness rising, when you start to feel separate from other people, when you start to feel like when you're making progress, when you're trying to be brave, that you just don't quite have what it takes, you're not really cut out for this, that other people would be able to figure it out better, other people would do it faster, that you are not doing it quickly enough and you're falling behind, and then you're, feeling more isolated. Any of this kind of stuff that it really feels shitty. I mean, it does not feel good. It does not feel like you are a part of something. It feels like you are somehow exiled and on the outside. When you start to feel that, the first thing I want you to do is write down what it is that you're feeling. Often that can really help us be clear on what is actually going on. And there's a whole swirl that can happen up in our brain and our head with all kinds of thoughts that, are very connected to emotions and beliefs and all these things. And it can be real challenging to just get clear on what exactly is going on. So often when we write it down, then we can get much more clear. And then even when we're writing it down, sometimes the simple act of writing it down allows us to see the cleverness that Clever Brain is using. And we're able to get a little bit of detachment and perspective, like, oh, okay. All right. Now I can start to see what's going on. I recognize that that's not quite true, but it still feels true, right? So I want to honor that it still feels true. And we start by writing it down, see what becomes more clear from just doing that. And then also reaching out to a friend, reaching out to somebody. And that could be, ideally it's you having a conversation or picking up the phone, jumping on FaceTime or whatnot with somebody that you really love, that you feel really safe with, and who can listen with compassion and kindness and just let you get it out. If you are feeling like you don't have access to that person, or, for practical reasons, like the timing's just not right, you're not able to, hi, Jennifer, you're not able to get to them, I really encourage you to lean on this community. I mean, we have a number of communities here on Facebook. We have our Mapping Wealth group, Mapping Work, Mapping Wellness. Those are 3 groups that anybody in our community can join. There's also Facebook groups as part of our First 5 Steps to Any Big Scary Goal course and the Make Progress No Matter What course. I've been really touched by the friendship and support and almost fellowship in this whole adventure and progress that's been happening in those groups especially. So just sharing what's going on and recognizing that when you're brave enough to just say, hey, this is where I'm at, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm afraid of, and I'm feeling really alone in this, then you just open the door and you allow for that fresh air to come in. You allow for the light. You allow for other people to say, oh my God, I so know what you mean. Like, that sounds so familiar because that's what's been going on for me, or that's what's happened last week. And it's just so incredibly comforting and affirming each time we can be reminded that we are not alone. We are not a weirdo. We are not deficient. We are simply human beings doing the best we know how to do. And striving against a internal built-in force that is trying to undermine our courage and our brave next right steps that we're taking pretty much at every turn, because it again believes that we are putting ourselves in danger. That's a terrible idea, and it has got to shut that down. Okay? So being able to reach out to people, because here's the other thing too, is that when you make contact with another human being, another compassionate witness or soul that can remind you that it's okay, that you are a human and you are being brave and you are going outside of your comfort zone, which is going to stoke all of these uncomfortable feelings, that it also gives people an opportunity to support you. You know, if you aren't letting people know what's going on, then nobody can be kind to you. Nobody can offer to give you a different perspective or share resources or ideas or just reassure you that they've been through this too and it's gonna be okay. If you don't let people in, then they can't do that. And I was reminded when we were in conversation earlier today in Time to Win that if you had that experience where you might catch up with a friend who you really love, but maybe you haven't talked to each other in a little while, and they'll eventually acknowledge that actually it's been pretty rough lately, and this is what's going on, and then you eventually hear about it, but it's like, oh my God, I wish I'd known. Like, I had no idea that any of this was going on. I wish that I could have been there for you. I love you. I wish that I had known, so I would have had the opportunity to remind you that you're not alone and you don't have to endure these tough things on your own. It doesn't win you any prizes. It doesn't mean that you're stronger or more noble or more capable because you're willing to suffer through it on your own. It's just not true. So give yourself the opportunity to not just be the one who's giving and supporting others, but who's also able to receive that. That's where you allow for true intimacy and connection and community, when you are willing to be brave enough to just let people in. Okay? Because when you do, when you get those thoughts out on paper, when you get them out of your head, out of your clever brains, comfort zone where it knows every nook and cranny and is right in its element. But when you take it out of that, you get it onto paper or you speak it to another person, then you allow for the love to come in. Then you allow for your own inner captain, as I call it, that aspect of you that operates from love, that has perspective, that it is able to make good decisions in terms of how you navigate forward. And you allow for that to come forth so that you have that internal resource, and then you also get connected to the external resources in the form of other people. It's like, it kind of reminds me a little bit of, I remember when I first got my Mac. I'm a Mac person when it comes to computers, technologies, and I would be trying to do something and I would find that it was so frustrating and it was taking so long and it was tedious. And then I would have this moment where I'm like, it's probably that I'm not getting the way to do this, because Macs are so intuitive and easy that it's probably me just not yet seeing something or being aware of the quick and easy way to do this. And time I've had that discovery of like, oh, okay, it's actually not that hard. It's just that I didn't know the way that it was easy. And I was just doing the best I knew how to do with the information that I had, right? How often do we do that? Where there is actually a much easier way to deal with something when we're not just trying to do it purely on our own intellect, on our experience, on our knowledge, our limitations, but when we're willing to just talk to somebody and just ask for some support, ask for ideas, ask for a different perspective. It's often that we can recognize that, okay, actually, there's a much easier path right over here. Let me just go over there. Okay? It is a sign of strength. It is a sign of winning. It is a sign of outsmarting your clever brain and really claiming for yourself that you do have a choice. You always get to choose, and you can choose for this to be easier. It can be easier to do these hard things. Okay? So, next time you are feeling lonely, next time you were feeling like it's all on you, that you have to figure it out, that you're not getting something and you can't ask anybody for help or let anybody know what's going on, I just want you to recognize that not as evidence that there's something wrong with you, not as evidence that you don't have what it takes or that there's some limitation, I just want you to remember that it is a wonderful and effective tactic for Clever Brain to use to keep you from being able to move forward, to slow you down or shut you down. It's fine with either option because it believes that it's protecting you. Okay, so often we take that really personally. It's not personal. It's actually a very universal human experience. And when you can catch yourself in that and choose to get that out of your head, choose to start by writing it down, choose to connect with somebody, choose to come into one of our online communities and share what's going on, make a Facebook Live video inside the community. It's a safe space. If you need to just speak on it, speak on it. It's a really brave and wonderful thing to do. And it invites other people to be of service to you, to be of support, to be reminded they're not alone, and to be inspired to also speak their truth. So like multiple wins for you just having the courage to reach out when you're feeling lonely. All right, dears. I hope that helps. And I just love being with y'all. I really do. I appreciate you taking the time to watch, to listen. Would love to hear in the comments if there's anything that really resonated for you. This reminds you of something that you're going through. It's yet another opportunity to remind others that they're not alone. All right. You can, of course, find all of these progress coaching chats here on our Facebook page, and you're welcome to go back through the archives for whatever would help you most right now. And you can find the audio files of them on our SoundCloud page. That can be really handy and easy to just listen while you are going about the day-to-day adulting activities like laundry and walking and driving and all of those things. All right, dears? So, real quick, if you are interested in having some more community, if you want to not feel so alone, especially if you're the kind of person that is like works from home and or maybe is in a more remote part of the world, or you travel a lot for business, Time to Win can be an incredible asset. It's this community that we have. It's a virtual, I'm calling it kind of like a productivity society. That's the phrase that I came up with today, where we get together virtually using a tool called Zoom. Yeah, tool called Zoom, where we can have these virtual power hours and get together in the same virtual space where we can see each other and be able to share what it is that we're working on for that hour. There's not actually sound, it's muted, but we just type and chat to each other like, hey, this is what's going on, this is what I'm working on. And then we can kind of be a silent, compassionate witness for each other as we are doing these things that are not easy. Maybe it's things that you're procrastinating. Maybe it's things that require you to be really brave. And you don't have to do that by yourself. It's a really simple thing. But when we show up and when we have another person who's right in it with us, it can be so much easier and so much more effective for us to get a lot done in just an hour. And the cool thing is that recently, with Time to Win 2.0, we now have, like, as of today, I think we have 28 hours each week, 28 different options where you can join in and you can be part of this community. And no matter where you are in the world, what time zone, you can jump in and be with another human being and not be alone. Okay? Because we have a lot of ideas and ambitions about the things that we want to do in life, but when it comes to actually getting where it is that we want to go and reaching the goals that we want to reach, it requires action and it requires courage. And those are two things that are much easier for most of us to do when we are not by ourselves, when we can come together with at least one other person to just kind of be in that space together. Okay, so that's what Time to Win is. And that's kind of what I was referring to earlier when I said this morning I was doing a coaching call, because for usually it's the first Friday of every month, and at 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Pacific, I do these group Q&A calls. So you have access to me as a coach, and it's a great value because, it's a much more efficient spend of money to join Time to Win than it is to do private coaching with me. But you get access to me and to have us, address whatever is most pressing for you. And then you also get access to the recordings of every one of those group coaching sessions so that you can listen to other people and learn a lot from just, witnessing me coaching someone else. Okay. So, I think people who come find it incredibly valuable, and I'd love to remind you that that is an option for you as well. Okay, you do not have to do this alone. All right, dears. So just keep in mind, next time you feel lonely, it is not evidence of your weaknesses or failings as a human being. It is your clever brain wanting to get in there and keep you from being brave and keep you from moving forward. All right? But you can outsmart that clever brain of yours. I look forward to hearing all about it. Keep us posted in the Facebook groups here, and I will see you next time. Bye.